Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Military Mondays. If you and I don't know each other, I would love to get to know you. It looks like I lost Karen. What happened? Hold on one second, folks. There she is. Anyways, if you and I don't know each other, I would love to get to know you. So please reach out to me and let's connect via Messenger. And I'm a retired Air Force major, 27 years in the Air Force. I now serve businesses by helping them acquire and retain their customer base. And Karen, I met through networking. There seems to be a theme here every single Monday morning is that I have met people through networking, and actually somebody that I'm in a networking group with introduced me to Karen. So it was a referral. So that's exactly what my husband and I teach businesses to do, is to build those relationships and get those referrals. So I'm super excited to have Karen on. Karen and I had a great conversation a few weeks ago about our military careers. And I'm so excited to have her on today. Her and her son have a business, and we're just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to tell you anymore. I want Karen to tell you about her background, serving in the Navy for 25 years. Thank you so much for your service, Karen, and thanks for being on this morning.
You're welcome. I'm very happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your Navy experience or your Navy career.
Well, I went to college right out of high school and got my Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Worked for a summer as a camp nurse, and then I joined the Navy. So I was in the Navy for what I thought was going to be 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, I had the opportunity to go overseas. I was single, female, thought, oh my gosh, this could be great. So I decided to stay in, and they sent me to Japan. And 25 years later, I got out of the service. What I found was that I absolutely loved it. I had the opportunity to work as a nurse in small, medium, large hospitals, fleet hospitals, stateside, overseas. And it was just really a wonderful experience. I mean, I got to see a lot, meet a lot, travel a lot. Met my husband in Japan. He was a active duty military. He was Civil Engineer Corps, and gosh, we had two children, and it's just was a wonderful career. I was able to learn a lot about business, a lot about leadership, as well as nursing, and work in all different types of environments and all different types of world scenarios.
Awesome. So I have a question, because you met your husband in the service. Did he also retire from the service?
He did. He put in 20 years as a Civil Engineer Corps officer and retired out of Port Hueneme, California, and then followed me for the rest of my career until I got out.
Awesome. So not too many spouses, there aren't too many military couples that serve. My ex and I did, but there are very few of those because it is so hard generally to get joint spouse assignments in that. So what was it like having a military career with a spouse that was also military? Were you blessed in that you were able to get stationed together, or did you have times where you had to go your separate ways and kind of come together on leave or, in between assignments?
We had to work it. We had to work with the detailers and get them to actually talk to each other. And we wouldn't always be exactly on the same timetable. He might go 6 months ahead of me, or I might go 6 months ahead of him. And then we had to balance the kids, and one would stay with the kids and the other one would take the kids. So it was a bit of a challenge, but we made it work. At one point, it looked like it wasn't going to work, and he was going to be in the South Pole, and I was going to be working rotating shifts in the States, and I had 2 kids, and anyway, it looked like it wasn't going to work, and I was going to get out, actually had my papers in to get out. Just from a logistical standpoint, it just didn't make sense. But then his orders changed, my orders changed, and we got orders together. So I stayed in, and it worked out great.
I
Yeah.
love it because yours and my story parallel. For those that are just watching this for the very first time, go watch past episodes at militarymondays.info. So that's militarymondays with an S.info, because Karen and I have a very similar story, because I served for a few years and was going to get out. Actually, I did get off of active duty, and within 6 months, I was back in the reserves. So go listen to some past episodes of my career. And I love that you were able to make it work, because so many couples end up splitting up, or one does give up their career in order for the other to have a career in the service. So I love hearing success stories like that. So some of the things you learned, you and I talked about this. What are some of the things you learned in the military that you think make you super successful in business today? Because we have a lot of people that might be watching right now that are still currently serving, and they don't understand the value of what they've learned in the military to take it and own their own business, whether it be a franchise, whether it be just start your own business based on a talent you have, like woodworking or crafts, or uh, network marketing, affiliate marketing. So let's share with the audience some of those things that you think help military members be super successful in business when they get out.
Well, I think the Navy in particular, I'm not sure if all of the services do this, but the Navy offered and actually required you to go through leadership development courses throughout your career. So it started early in my career when I was a young nurse and a young leader, really hadn't had much leadership opportunity. I went through management development, which is really more of a management course. It's sort of the nuts and bolts. How do you manage an inbox? How do you set priorities? How do you set up your day? How do you manage a meeting? Those kinds of things that are really important if you've never done it. And then they sent me later in my career to intermediate leadership and then to senior leadership. All three of them were 2-week courses where we went, away for 2 weeks and just dove in very deeply into these areas. And those courses were invaluable. I mean, they were real life experiences. There were scenarios you had to work through, problem solving. And then coinciding with that, I was always given progressive leadership opportunities. In the military, because of your rank, you move up and you get uh, a position of leadership. And because you transfer from one duty station to another with that rank, you don't have to start all over again. You start going into that level leadership. And so I was managing units and wards and then departments and then directorships, all progressively throughout my career. And these courses really helped. And then midway through my career, they also put me through grad school. And I got my master's in education through the Navy.
Nice.
So when you put all of those things together, the training component was phenomenal. And then, of course, the real life having to manage a unit, a floor, a department, deployments, all of those things just force you to learn leadership. And I guess I would say probably what stands out in my mind is the importance of team and getting to know your team. In civilian, I found that they say, well, it's not your business to know the people on your team. That's a privacy thing. Well, in the military, it was you had to know your team.
You had to, yeah.
You had to know who they were, who their family was, because you might deploy, you might go, you need to be able to support them and know what's going on. And I found that to be really, really helpful because as a leader, you need to be able to manage a team
Yep.
and have a team lead. And I found focusing on their strengths versus saying, this is where you don't do well, do more of it. Instead, let's match people with their strengths, and then everybody wins. And it's just
Yep.
it's really fun.
Awesome. So that leads us right into what is Karen and her son doing today?
Well, my son and I started a business in 2011 called Click Consultants, and it's actually a leadership development and communications strategy company. We help individuals, businesses, teams with team building, with communication, and we specialize on working with the different generations. There's 5 generations right now that either that could be living together, could be working together, could be volunteering together, but they're together. And they look at the world through different lenses. And what we find is that if you don't understand that other generation, the communication is a struggle. Some people say,
Yes.
I just don't get them. They don't have the right attitude. They don't care. It's all about them. And it's because they don't understand the perspective they're coming from. So when my son and I work together, he's a millennial and I'm a boomer. It's really fun because we can look at the very same thing, but we never look at it the same way. We always look at it from different perspectives because we just, different things happened. What we've learned is that between the ages of 8 and 18, that's when you are really most impressionable and you develop your understanding of things. So, whatever happened to the world around you during those years is what forms your perspective on the world. So, that was different for my son than it was for me. So, we
Right.
look at it differently. And understanding that about each other can help you then partner and communicate and get through rough times in connecting.
I love it. My husband and I, I'm trying to think, it was probably 7 years ago. I don't know. It's a number of years ago. We went to a conference in Denver. Have you heard of 4Gen Now? So it's a movement about how the 4 generations, what each generation brings to the office or to the business world so that you can better communicate like you and your son are doing. So you might want to tap into, look up 4Gen Now is what the name of it is. And you might want to tap in there because they're always looking for trainers, especially like a mother and son team or a father and son team or businesses that are multi-generational, to share their experience and how different generations bring different talents to the marketplace. So
Love it.
I absolutely love it. My husband and I really enjoyed that conference. So if you are working in a business, whether it be your business or you're an employee, and you're one of those people that are like, oh, those millennials, or oh, those, baby boomers, or those Gen Xers, and you're rolling your eyes, you need to reach out to Karen and her son, because I learned at that conference so many great things that we don't think about. And think about this. If you could tap into the best, not the worst, but the best assets of every single generation and bring them together to explode your business, whether you are financially benefiting or a company is financially benefiting, I just think it just makes work a lot easier, a lot more fun. And if you're a business owner, you definitely need to talk to Karen and her son, because you might even be one of those that maybe you're a baby boomer and all you want to work with is baby boomers. They can help you to understand why you really don't want a team of all baby boomers, and bring in some millennials in that, because their ideas and their talents are so much different. Like Karen said, we grow up differently. Those that are millennials right now or Gen X's, think about when they were 8 years old. Karen and I are boomers. So what were we holding this cell phone in our hand at 8 years old? No, it was not until we were in our 20s or 30s that we had cell phones. It depends on whether you were one of the early adopters or not. And they were big and bulky and they didn't look like this. You didn't have a whole computer in your hand. But like my grandson, who's only 10 months old, he's not playing with a phone yet, but we've given him an old cell phone and he has a cell phone and he's in front of a computer every single day. And we just didn't grow up that way. So every generation brings an immense amount of talents that you could tap into, that just would be a struggle for you in your whatever your generation is. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you to reach out to Karen. So Karen, I want to ask you, let's say you run into somebody who's getting ready to retire or separate in 3 to 5 years. What would be your biggest piece of advice that you could give somebody that's looking at getting out of the service?
I think I would recommend they look at what community they want to be in, like where do they want to live, and get to know that community. So immerse themselves in the community. If there's a chamber of commerce, if there's a Toastmasters group, if there is a Rotary, get involved. So a lot of communities have leadership programs where you like take a day once a month and learn about a different component of the leadership in that community. If you learn that, then if you want to go out and have a business or get out there, you now have a much better understanding of your community. I had actually lived in the community for several years, but we decided to stay here, and I thought I knew the community. But when I went to a leadership course, Leadership Kitsap is what it was called, and it was over a 10-month period, and we had um, one day a month, we spent an entire day learning about a different aspect of the community. So of course I was comfortable with the military day, but then and I was comfortable with the healthcare day, but then when they talked about some of the policies and they talked about the security and they talked about the development and all of those things, I was really surprised. I did a ride along with the police and I was amazed at what they had done. And it was actually my commanding officer at the time when I retired that recommended I do this. And I did it about a
Nice.
year before I retired. And it was one of the best things I ever did. And then I knew which groups I wanted to become a part of, networking groups or groups in the community, some way to give back. And that helps you get immersed, helps you make connections. So when you start a business, it just sort of flows into the next step. I also went to SCORE. When my son and I decided we wanted to start a business, we didn't know what we didn't know. We weren't sure what we should become. Should we be an LLC? Should we be a partnership? What makes sense? So we went to this SCORE, which was a group of retired military that had decided they wanted to give back to small business and to the community by helping people that retire or helping people in the community start up businesses. And so they took you from A to Z on all the components of starting a business, which for us was absolutely essential because we didn't know. We had never even really contemplated doing it. It was sort of a brainchild once we started speaking about generations. And so the military just seems to come up over and over again in ways that it helps you. And we're a very military friendly community. There's many military bases around us here in Silverdale, Washington. And I love that too. I feel very connected even though I'm retired from the military.
Awesome. Yes, definitely get connected wherever you are. And like Karen said, seek out, if you're going to retire in a different city or a different state, you're going to go there and you're going to look for a house. You're going to do house hunting anyways. do yourself a favor and go visit the chamber, go visit some organizations that are there while you're house hunting so that you can start that process. I love that, Karen. I've never heard anybody say that, but it makes total sense. So any last minute something we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about, or words of wisdom that you wanted to share?
I guess I would just say to folks, if you're looking to start a business, just do it. Try,
Yeah.
fail. That's how you learn. That's how you jump up and you get better. And if you're looking for help with the different generations, even marketing is different. You know,
Yep.
if you have your target audience and it's a particular generation, you're going to market to them different. Each generation has reacted to COVID differently. Each generation has worked with um, where they want to focus differently. And so keeping that in mind is really helpful, and it's exciting, and there's nothing more powerful than when you blend generations for success.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today, Karen. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your early Monday morning. This is my office today, as you can see behind me. So I'm actually in Vegas. So I'm enjoying, that's why I love being a business owner, because depending on the business you set up, you have the freedom to go wherever you want and work from wherever you want. So this is my office today. So thanks for being on with me early this morning. And how can people reach you, Karen?
They can reach me through my website, which is www.click-consultants.com, or they can reach me at my email, which is KAMAC123 at AOL.com. That's KAMAC123 at AOL.com. And I will get back with them and answer any questions they might have.
Awesome. And you'll put those, put that in the chat below when we get finished, how people can connect with you. And if you are getting ready to get out of the service, or maybe you're 5 to 10 years out, but you're starting to plan ahead, and you're thinking about starting a business, Karen and I would love to have a conversation with you and help you in that process and connect you to whoever you need to be connected to that we have in our network. So if that's you, please reach out. If you are already a business owner and are a veteran or the spouse of a veteran, I would love to have a conversation with you, because maybe you could be featured on a Military Mondays. So again, go to Military Mondays with an S.info. So military, MILITARY, Mondays, MONDAYS.info. And I would love to connect with you. So with that, thank you so much for being on this morning, Karen. I appreciate you. Look forward to staying in touch with you and watching how you and your son's business grow. So with that, I will see everyone next Monday on Military Mondays. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. I really
You're
enjoyed it,
welcome.
Brenda.